Welcome, everybody. This is Research and Discovery Grand Rounds. I'm Ashley Carlson. I'm the Director of Research Training and Communications at KU Medical Center's Research Administration, and I am the Education Navigator with our Translational Endeavors Core at Frontiers. Thank you all for joining us today. A reminder for those of you who may be new, if you haven't already, please be sure to visit the frontiersctsi.org website and learn more and become a member. Real quick, before we get started, I want to put your attention on our next session, which is going to be on Thursday, April 24th, again at noon in Zoom. And we'll be hearing Words Matter, Why and How to Use Inclusive Language in Research and Healthcare. It's a panel discussion, and we'll be talking about how respectful and accurate language leads to better scientific and health outcomes. So mark your calendars for that and look for an invitation to follow. With that, I'm going to stop sharing here briefly. So today our speaker is Monica Strathman, who's a sponsored programs specialist in research administration here at KU Medical Center. She specializes in sponsored programs, training and communications, and prepares key information on the policies, processes, systems, and regulations for KU Medical Center's research enterprise. And she's going to be talking to us about common forms compliance. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Monica.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And can you all see that?
Looks good.
Okay, great. Okay, so today we're going to talk about changes to NIH Biosketches and other support, effective May 25th, 2025, but just this week we got some updated information about that, so we'll get into that shortly. My name is Monica Strathman. I'm a training specialist in research administration. And today we're going to talk about the common forms, SciENcv, ORCID and ORCID ID, compliance, resources and support, and then we'll do a demonstration on creating a common form Biosketch with SciENcv. I know this looks like a long agenda, but this presentation only takes about 20-25 minutes, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Okay, so first and foremost, there's been an update. We were told that May 25th, 2025 is the deadline for this compliance, but just this week on the common forms for Biosketch and current pending support page for NIH, they put this notice on here that they are postponing that deadline. We don't know when that will the deadline will be, the future deadline will be, but it's not canceled, it's just postponed. So we think it's still a good idea for us to get prepared and for people to use the system. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. So common forms. So what are common forms? So the common forms are the biographical sketch and current and pending or other support. It's a collaborative effort among federal agencies to ensure standard disclosure requirements across federal agencies as outlined in the National Security Presidential Memorandum 33. And produced using SciENcv, common forms will create greater standardization across federal agencies and provide clarity regarding disclosure requirements. So this is the reason why they're adopting these common forms. So what's SciENcv? SciENcv stands for the Science Experts Network Curriculum Vitae. It is an application in MyNCBI offered by the National Institutes of Health. It produces a digitally certified PDF of the common forms in agency formats. And it creates and manages common forms in support of grant funding proposals with participating agencies, which currently are NSF, NIH, and the Institute of Education Sciences. So when you're populating SciENcv, there's multiple ways to do that. They can be populated with information from NIH ERA Commons, NSF, and ORCID accounts by linking those accounts. But information transferred to SciENcv can be changed, hidden, augmented, or deleted once it's in SciENcv. However, that information that's been transferred to SciENcv will not automatically change in the source account if you change it in SciENcv. So you'll have to change them in both places if you're wanting to make that change. So what's ORCID? ORCID stands for Open Researcher and Contributor Identification. It is a global nonprofit organization that provides a registry of researchers. Professional information such as employment, education, professional activities, funding, and publications is stored and managed in the ORCID record. And it assigns a persistent identifier to researchers known as the ORCID ID. So what's the ORCID ID? It's a unique 16-digit persistent identifier for individuals engaged in research, and this is what it looks like, the ID looks like, and then the URL for that profile with ORCID. It is used within NIH and grants.gov to relate publications to grants, and it's used to connect researchers with their contributions to science over time and across changes of name, location, and institutional affiliation. So if you are looking for a particular researcher, there might be multiple people with that same name. This identifier identifies the individual that you're looking for. You can be sure it's the right person. So compliance. So initially the deadline was May 25th of 2025, but we don't know what the new deadline is, but they are going to be adopting the common forms for all funding proposals and research performance progress reports. All senior and key personnel listed on an application must have an ORCID ID, and that ORCID ID must be linked to their individual ERA Commons personal profile. So what this means is if you are putting together a funding proposal, whatever that deadline is, all key personnel on that funding proposal have to have their Biosketch created through SciENcv. It has to be a digitally certified copy from SciENcv. They also have to have an ORCID ID, and they have to have their ORCID ID linked to their ERA Commons personal profile. This includes not just researchers here at KU Med, but also anybody that might be subrecipients or even possibly community partners. So it's not just KUM researchers. Okay, so I want to show you what it looks like when you are linking your personal profile with ERA Commons. So when you log into ERA Commons, up at the top left corner, there's those boxes, those 9 boxes. If you click on that, it'll bring down a drop-down menu. And if you select personal profile, this is what it looks like for somebody who has already linked their ORCID ID to their ERA Commons. So you can see that ORCID ID listed there. But this is what it looks like for somebody who has not yet linked it. So their ORCID ID is not available. But if you click this create or connect your ORCID ID, that'll allow you to make that link. So that's what that looks like. And then I also want to talk to you a little bit about resources and support that we're providing here at KU Med in order to help you become compliant. So SPA has an internet page titled Common Forms that includes instructional videos on making and using an ORCID account, creating a common form biosketch with SciENcv. And I've included this creating a common form current and pending other support with SciENcv because we intend to do an instructional video for that, but currently that form is not yet available in SciENcv, so I'm not able to create that video. But eventually that will happen. The SPA internet page also includes links to the Dykes Library ORCID Guide and other system help pages. And then we offer live assistance at SPA Lunch and Learn sessions that take place every Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 1 p.m. And I want to show you what that looks like. Those Lunch and Learn sessions are listed on the Today's Events calendar on the intranet homepage. And if you scroll in here just a little bit, you'll see there's that Zoom link. The Zoom link to that session remains the same for every single session. So if you are interested in this resource, you can just copy that Zoom link and put it on your calendar. It's always the same, no matter whatever Tuesday or Thursday that you decide to pop in. And this is true. This resource is available not just for Common Forms or help with your Biosketch or your SciENcv or ORCID account. It's also for anything else grant related. We're able to provide you some support or assistance in real time with SPA staff. This is what our resources and support, or this is what our Common Forms internet page looks like. This is, it's got some paragraphs about what the Common Forms are, a little bit about SciENcv, a little bit about ORCID, and then if you scroll down towards the bottom of the page, this is where you'll see the how-to videos for the creating an ORCID account, and then also creating a common form biosketch with SciENcv. Okay, so let's do a quick demonstration. But before we go into that, are there any questions? Nope, no questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So is there a way to auto-populate any of this when creating the new biosketch?
Yes. So yes, I'll in the demonstration, we'll kind of go through that. And if you have further questions, then we can address those at the end. Are there any other questions? It does apply to trainee fellowships as well. Well, yes, it does. There's a fellowship biosketch in there. There's two different forms. There's the NIH non-fellowship biosketch, and then there's the fellowship biosketch. Okay, great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward. Okay, so let's look at what this looks like. So first of all, when you want to log into the National Library of Science system, there are multiple ways to do that. You can log in using your ERA Commons account, or you can click other login options and you'll get a menu of options. I typically log in using login.gov. That works out best for me. You can do what works best for you, but I do want to caution you that if you attempt to log in to the National Library of Medicine using the ORCID profile before your ORCID account is linked to the NLM, you will not. It'll create a new account is what it'll do. It'll think that you're a brand new user and it'll create a new account, and then you'll have a duplicate account, which will require you to contact the help desk to get that resolved. So that's kind of just a warning there. Okay, so when you first log in, if you click on your account at the top right, and the drop-down menu will show up, and then if you click on account settings, it'll take you to a page, and this is where you link your accounts. So you can see I've got login.gov linked, ORCID, and ERA Commons linked. There's a little link below that says add account. This is how you how you might link additional accounts. There's also this section for delegates. So if you have administrative support staff or coordinator that helps you manage your biosketch or that information, you can add them as a delegate. The SciENcv, you can access that through a portal in the bottom right-hand corner. If you click on the Manage SciENcv, that'll take you to the SciENcv application. But today I'm going to actually do this demonstration as a delegate. So I'm currently in Dr. Wang's SciENcv, and I can see that he's got an NIH biosketch that already exists. I can actually just open that biosketch and edit it if I want to do that, or I can create a new document by clicking on the New Document button. And when I do that, I get this Create a New Document dialog box. So you'll need to make sure that you enter the document title, and I would recommend being very descriptive with that title. So for example, if this is an R01 funding proposal with a certain due date, maybe you're a co-investigator and someone else is the PI, you might want to include the PI's name, or whatever would help you remember or know that this is a specific biosketch for a specific funding proposal. Or maybe you are a researcher. For example, I'm going to draw on my experience from when I was in neurology. Some of those faculty there, they were doing research on ALS and FSHS or other types of neuromuscular diseases. And so they had a specific biosketch for each of those diseases. So you might want to title it that way, whatever makes the most sense to you. And then when you click on document type, so this is where you can see these are the options that are available. There's the NIH biosketch, the NIH fellowship biosketch, and then the NSF biosketch, NSF current and pending and other support, and IES biosketch. So currently the NIH other support is not yet available, but the NIH biosketch and the NIH fellowship biosketch are. By selecting the right document type, the Biosketch will be formatted in the current agency format. So that's important. And then you can choose a data source to help populate this information. So you can start with a blank document, or you can duplicate an existing document and then make edits to it. Or you can use an external source to populate some of the information. Currently, the options that are available for that are ERA Commons and ORCID, but that's also dependent upon whether you have linked those accounts. And then you would click the Create button, and then that would create your document. Demonstration, I'm going to kind of show you what it looks like, starting with a blank Biosketch. So a Biosketch has 5 sections. So we have the personal information section, education and training section, personal statement section, positions, scientific appointments and honors section, and then contributions to science section. So that's what it looks like if you start with a blank one, blank slate. But I want to show you what it looks like for if you duplicate a Biosketch and you want to make edits to it. So this is a Biosketch that's already been, I created a duplicate, and I want to edit the personal information. So I'm going to click on that edit link. It opens up the edit personal information dialog box. And then you can see there's information there that you can edit. And you can also see that his ERA Commons ID appears there, as well as his ORCID ID, because those are linked. The fields that have a red asterisk are required fields, so you have to have information in those fields before you can move forward. And then you would click Save. And then in the education training section, again, these are all independently editable. Each section is independently editable, so you would just click Edit Entries. And because this is an existing Biosketch, well, it's a duplicate of an existing Biosketch, all these entries appear, but I can select which ones I want to include or not include. So by checking those boxes or unchecking those boxes, that will they will show or not show those entries. Or I can delete them or edit them, or I can add another education, and that will open up a new degree dialog box, and then just complete that information and then click Save, and then that will add another entry. In the personal statement, if you click on Edit Statement, it's just a big dialog box that reads that information. So when I help Dr. Wang with this, we just cut and paste from his Word document everything into that personal statement, and then click that green check box or check mark. And then that just plunked all the information into his that for his personal statement. And then you can also add up to 4 peer-reviewed publications with your personal statement. So if you click on Select Citations, that opens up this section where it links to your bibliography and your ORCID. So all you have to do is check the publications that you want to include or not include. You can do that with your bibliography, or you can do that with your ORCID. And again, that's contingent, though, upon you having your ORCID profile current and that information all completed in your profile. You just click those boxes. And then you save citations, and they appear. And then in the positions, scientific appointments, and honors sections, if you click Edit Entries, all of them appear. There are actually 20 items that are selected. There's additional items, but you would just click the ones that you want to include or not include, or you can delete or edit those entries, or add an additional entry by clicking the Add in Another Entry link, which opens up a dialog box, and you add more information. This is where the heavy lifting comes in, because each of these, especially if you are a junior researcher or a senior researcher, you're going to have a lot of positions and scientific appointments to include, and they all you just can't cut and paste one long section into this document. You have to, piece by piece, add the information for each appointment. So that's what takes a while. It's not difficult. It just is time consuming. It works the same way with the honors section. So if you click on Edit Entries, all of these appear from our previous document, and we can check and uncheck the ones that we want to include or not include. We can click Delete or Edit to delete or edit those entries, or we can add another entry. And that's what that looks like. And then in the contributions to science section, if you click edit section, you'll see again, it's a big text box. So I was able to cut and paste the information from his Word document, his existing Word Biosketch for each of his contributions. Dr. Wang currently has 4 contributions to science that he likes to include, but you can have up to 5. Those contributions can also be rearranged just by clicking and dragging. So if I were to click one to the back, that would reorder those so that they appear in the order that you want them. You can control that in your final document. And then like with the personal statement, if you click on select citations, you can choose the citations that you want to include. You can have up to 4 in this section as well. And you can choose those from your My Bibliography or your ORCID, and then click Save Citations. And then at the bottom of the contributions to science section, there's this option to include a link to the complete list of your published work in My Bibliography. Just by checking that box, that link appears. And then currently the options are download in a PDF, Word, or XML format. But eventually, if you remember earlier, we talked about we're going to have a certified copy, a PDF copy. The NIH Biosketch does not currently offer that feature. It is coming, but this is what it looks like for NSF. There's an option here where you have to actually, a delegate cannot do this for you. The researcher has to do this themselves, but they would certify their document, and then they could download the PDF of that certified document and distribute that however they would like. I have had questions asking, how good is that certification? How long is it good? So I've looked for guidance on that. I can't find anything that says that there's an expiration or that there's a limit to how long those documents are good. So for example, if you sign it on June 1st for a funding proposal that you are submitting in October, is that still valid? As long as the form has not changed, the NIH format has not changed, and as long as the information on that Biosketch is still current, from what I can tell, that's still good. So you can use it as long as that information is still accurate. Okay, so if anybody has any questions about any of that, we can also look in the live system. Oh, look, we do have some stuff in the chat. Okay, so let's see here. How to approve an ERA Commons account. Okay, so I can show you that. Let me just go to our webpage real quick. If you go to the Sponsor Programs Administration webpage.
And just a reminder for folks on your call, your SPA office, your sponsored programs, your grants office at your institution. So if you're not at KU Med, probably has a very similar resource to what Monica's showing, but what this is internal to KU Med. Yes, thank you for clarifying. I forget that there's other people included. Anyway, on the SPA intranet page, and you would just get there just by typing in Sponsored Programs Administration in the search box, and this should be the first result that comes up. If you scroll down to ERA Commons account request or update, if you click on that, this will walk you through the process for requesting that update. So if you have an ERA Commons account from another institution and you're new to KUMC, this is how you would affiliate with KUMC. And then, or if you haven't had an ERA Commons account before and you need to request one, this is how you would request one. Okay, and then could you go back to what you said about getting the ORCID ID link? Oh, okay, so I can actually just go into SciENcv. Let me go to the live system. If I click on my account and then go to account settings. Oh, is this what you're talking about? Or are you talking about not creating a duplicate account? Is that what you mean? You want to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm unmuted. So I did follow along with you and add it within ERA Commons, and then I did just add it in with the National Library of Medicine. So I just wasn't sure, because I'm not seeing it within the National Library of Medicine, if maybe, which goes to my next little text box, but if maybe it just doesn't update for a certain period of time, because it says that it's in here, but then I don't see it at the top of the page for the SciENcv.
Okay, maybe, well, you might have, did you refresh after you did that? Did you try refreshing? If it doesn't show up, I'm happy to get on another call with you, separately to look at this and see if we can
Okay.
figure out what might be going on. But you
Yeah,
should
no,
be-
it didn't with a refresh.
Okay, so if that doesn't show up, then we can get on another call and look at that and see if
Okay.
there's something else going on. But yes,
All right.
but when you're logging into my NCBI, at the beginning, if you try to log in using the ORCID profile without having linked it, it'll try to duplicate your account, and that's a bad thing. Especially what's going on right now with NIH. We've been trying to get, the communication back from the NIH help desk has been very slow.
Yeah.
Is there a
And then I
page limit?
guess
Oh, sorry.
yeah, my follow-up question is if there's still a page limit for the Biosketch.
There is, and I would like to show you that. I can actually show you that. Let me go back into SciENcv, Dr. Wang. So I'm gonna just go ahead and create a duplicate. So I'm gonna new document. I'm gonna title it duplicate. Well, I can't spell. And I'm going to use his existing document. He's got, or NIH, I'm going to use an existing document, which is his NIH Biosketch. I'm going to click create. So now I've created a whole new document and I can edit this. I'm going to just add a bunch of stuff in his personal statement to make it go over the limit and show you what happened. Okay, now I'm going to click PDF to download, and it's going to give me a message that says the NIH limits biographical sketches to 5 pages or less. Please check the output to ensure you meet this requirement. So it's still going to give me an output. It's still going to print something or create something. When I open that file, come on. This is what it looks like. That looks like a typical Biosketch. But if I scroll down, I can see, or if I can do 5 pages. Okay. My computer's slow. Sorry. I can see that this is more than 5 pages. So I can look at the 6th page here and no, this is how much information I'm going to have to approximately cut some information, that much information in order to make it fit. It's not real. One of the other things that I'm hoping that NIH changes with this form, because we were told that they were going to have some of these changes made by the end of March, but then because they postponed the deadline, I'm guessing the reason why they've postponed that deadline is because they're not prepared with some of the changes that they need to make this implementation happen. But one of the things I was hoping they would change, like for example, you are allowed to include your current support. So for example, Dr. Wang included an NIH R01 and some other things here. But if you look at the printout, if I put that back out, it's not formatted very prettily. It's just plunked in there. And you really can't format it. I'm hoping that what they will do is they will change this so that there's like when we have a separate section for citations, like maybe there'll be a separate section for support, so that's a neater way to enter that. That's one thing. There's several other things that we've also noticed. For example, we've submitted some help tickets. So if you don't have like with the end date, sometimes it'll reorder these. The instructions say that they need to be in reverse chronological order. But if you don't have an end date for some and you have an end date for others, that doesn't necessarily order them correctly. So there are some things about that's still kind of wonky, but they're supposed to be making some changes to this. I just don't know how quickly that will happen. Still, if you download it in Word, it's still a great system to use, I think. You can just download it in Word and then you can still make those manual adjustments that way. For now. But eventually you're going to need to we'll have to have a PDF, a certified PDF. One thing else to remember, that is going to be a little bit challenging for people who are, if you have subrecipients, they'll have to send you a PDF, a certified PDF of their Biosketch. And in the past, I know oftentimes, PIs would make adjustments to those Biosketches from their subrecipients, to tailor it toward the project, they're not going to be able to do that now, because once it's certified, it's a PDF, you won't be able to edit those. So that's something to remember. Are there any other questions?
I guess I have a quick question on the PDF then, that once it's certified, when we do STTR applications, are we going to be able to um, put together the PDFs because we organize them and put them together? Sometimes when documents are locked, you can't do that.
I think if you, that's a good question. I haven't actually tried to do that, but I should try that with the NSF ones, because you can't, those are certified. But I think what you should be able to do is print them, like print to PDF. And then I think that makes it possible for you to link them together as one document, but I'm not 100% sure about that, Melinda. I'll have to check.
Okay, yeah, because when we upload, you have to load them up all together.
Mm-hmm. What system do you use when do you do it? Is it grants.gov? Do you do it directly in grants.gov or Assist?
Yeah, it's an assist.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to check. I'll have to test that. I'm not sure. That's a great question.
Yeah, we're going to have, June submissions coming in September then too. So just kind of want to know what to
Yeah.
expect.
Well, okay. Melinda, if you want to reach out to me, are you at KU Med or are you somewhere else?
I'm at KU Med. I
Oh,
work
you
both
are.
campuses, but my main is Med Center.
Okay, then I should be able to find you then. I'll see what I can find out and I'll follow up with you on that.
That'd be great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I think it's actually a pretty slick system. What it does do though is it structures this, it's highly structured. So there's not as much flexibility as working in a Word document. And I think that's intentional. I think NIH and the federal agencies want these to be a little bit more structured. So there's some pros and cons to that. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to talk about with this unless there's any other questions that you have. Even if it's something that's just SPA related, I'm happy to attempt to answer those questions. The link of the approval. Oh, put the link in there. Sure, absolutely. Let me come here. Oops, wrong page. Here we go. There you go.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Monica. This has been really helpful. I know it's one of those nuts and bolts things that we have to manage in addition to a million other things. So having somebody guide us through it is so helpful.
Yeah, and so the videos, I think if you are trying to walk through the process and you get stuck, I think the videos are a good resource for that. But again, the lunch and learns are also, we're happy to help you. You can also reach out to me and I'll see what else I can do to fix whatever problem we've got.
Yeah. And I know we have counterparts on all of our other campuses as well, but if you find that you're not getting the information to follow up on these things at another institution, feel free to reach out to us and we can coordinate and collaborate to make sure you get the support you need.
All right, great.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us, and welcome you to mark your calendars and join us for our next session in April. And enjoy the warm weather.
Thanks, Ashley.